Hey guys, welcome back to That Florida Feeling. Hope everybody's doing well. I have had a rough week. It has taken 2 years, but I got COVID. So that's been a fun week. I don't even know. I don't know. It's just, I'm glad I guess I got the lower variant because it just felt like a really bad cold, but it's just not fun. So regardless of how you feel about it, just take care of yourselves. I don't wish that on anybody, so be careful out there, you guys. Thank you to everybody who participated in the Instagram polls and Facebook questions. I was surprised about the Facebook question results. I thought more people would vote for theme parks. I'm kind of glad to know that there are fellow history nerds out there listening to this. And I do have a few episodes coming up on some historic parts of Florida, so if you're into that, woohoo. If you're into theme parks, that's also going to come up. And if you're for the beaches, this one's for you. Thank you to those who answered the Instagram question of the week. I appreciate the ideas. It's always good to know what my listeners like, so thank you. Keep a lookout on each Tuesday for those questions and polls. And keep inviting people to the groups and pages. I really, really appreciate all that support. And thank you for those who reviewed the podcast on Spotify. You guys are simply amazing. If you have a second, a 5-star review with a comment on Apple would be much appreciated. I have noticed that I've gotten a lot more listeners lately, so thank you so much. Welcome if this is your first podcast. It's pretty amazing. If you want to go back and listen to the old ones, some of my favorites are Haunted Florida Part 1 and Florida State Parks Part 1. Although one of my more popular ones, which is actually a recent one, is Moving to Florida. So if you are interested in moving to Florida, definitely check that out. You can hear how we did it and get some ideas if you're interested. And if you guys want another moving episode, please let me know. I have plenty to talk about in that department. And today I want to talk about something that Florida is well known for, and it may be a reason you might want to move here. And of course, that's the beaches. Now, I know as I'm saying this, everybody's probably got their favorite beach in mind. Most people think of Clearwater, Daytona, Pensacola, somewhere near Miami. And there are so many beaches in Florida, it is kind of hard to pick one. In fact, Florida has 825 miles of accessible beaches. So there are obviously more than just those few that I have named. And beaches in Florida are a national and state treasure, and they are to be enjoyed. They are to be treasured, too. The beaches in Florida are known for the sunshine, the beautiful waves, and the accessibility. You can literally pull off highways and just go to a beach. There's some steps going down to it, or you're just right there. And that is one of the nice, cool things about Florida. The coast of Florida offers a lot of different natural habitats, such as sand dunes, salt marshes, mangroves, and coral reefs that can be accessed from such things as historical sites, state parks, fishing communities, of course, right off the highway, marinas, and urban centers. It's kind of cool that Florida really incorporates their beaches into kind of anything. And beaches can be split up into the Panhandle, the Southwest Florida Gulf, and then the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm sorry to tell you that not all beaches are created equal. The beaches on the Atlantic Ocean seem to have rougher, darker sand, darker waters, and larger waves. But that's not true about all of it. The darker water does tend to clear out when you get towards Miami. Deerfield Beach's water was simply beautiful. It was just crystal clear and amazing. So it kind of depends on which part of the Atlantic you're on. But the waves are a lot bigger on the Atlantic side, really, no matter what part you're at. Vero Beach has some amazing waves. The Gulf side tends to be a little more calmer. So does the Panhandle. So the calmer waves, the crystal white, beautiful sand, the clear water. It's more of a kid-friendly side, I would say. You can definitely enjoy the waves, but they're not tall. If the waves are tall, then there's a storm, and that's probably not when you want to be in the water anyways. Of course, the water is usually best to swim from April to October. That's when it gets to be a pretty good average warm temperature. But of course, the further south you go, you can swim during the winter months. I love going to Naples in the winter because the beach is still pretty warm. The Gulf of Mexico waters actually tend to run a little bit warmer than the Atlantic beach by about 5 degrees. Fun fact, sometimes the Gulf of Mexico water is warmer than the air temp. I know there's a lot of times that we'll go to the beach, we'll go to Clearwater, and it's like the water temp is 87 and the actual outdoor temp is like 80. So, it can be kind of less than refreshing sometimes, but it's always fun. And of course, the Atlantic is better to swim in during the summer because of that, because it's usually colder than the air temp, so it feels a little more refreshing. I'm going to talk about a few beaches today. Some of these are some of my favorites. So if you're looking for a new place to explore in Florida, there's definitely some beaches you should check out. And I kind of hit all the areas. I'm pretty sure I did. The first one I'm going to talk about is Cape San Blas. And Cape San Blas is actually in the Panhandle. It's just south of Mexico Beach, and it sits with the St. Joseph Bay on one side and the Gulf of Mexico on the other. The peninsula has had an interesting history, but it also has some of the most beautiful beaches in Florida. And honestly, most of their beaches are not as inhabited as other parts of Florida. And the Cape is no exception to this. The Cape was actually at one time home to a Confederate salt works where they processed over 150 bushels of salt a day by evaporation of seawater, which is salt. And this was actually their main source of economy in the area until it was destroyed in 1862 by a Union ship. The Cape has also been home to 4 lighthouses. Yes, that's right, 4, but there is only one today, and the one you can see is an iron frame lighthouse. It was built in 1883, and it really just kind of adds to the scenery of this beautifully and usually sparsely populated Cape. Cape San Blas has actually been named one of America's most beautiful beaches, and that was back in 2002, although I think it still holds that to this day. The beaches and the area around it are so sparsely populated that it's really helped to keep the whole area not only clean, but its ecosystem just amazingly in check. It helps keep the St. Joseph's Aquatic Preserve just pristine. And the whole area is really known for that because the nature is so undisturbed. The bay is actually filled with sea life that you can easily explore by paddleboards or kayaks. And St. Joseph's Bay is the only body of water in the eastern Gulf of Mexico that is not influenced by the inflow of fresh water. So it actually allows the water to host a really rich ecosystem, and in fact, one of the richest in Florida along the coast. The Cape is very laid back. It's easily accessible from Port St. Joe. It's about 20 minutes away, and you can actually vacation on the Cape. There are places to stay, and it kind of lends you to like a forgotten time. It's just so undisturbed, and it's so relaxed, and you may or may not see a couple of other people. It's kind of cool. Now, the Cape is popular for fishing and kayaking, paddleboarding, biking, and hiking. And it's really cool that there's actually a trail. It's called the Loggerhead Trail. And it's 8.7 miles. It's paved, and it's a recreational pathway that runs along the Cape. And what's really cool about this trailway is that people have really embraced it. You can actually find local stores, unique restaurants, and other kinds of stop along the way as you traverse this 8.7 mile trail. Now, the best thing about the Cape is the T.H. Stone Memorial St. Joseph Peninsula State Park. The park is open during the day to explore, and you can rent pontoon boats, kayaks, and canoes. Just hold in mind that this whole area, while it is beautiful, it has been through a lot recently. In fact, the Cape is still recovering from Hurricane Michael. It was heavily damaged back in 2018 by this hurricane, and that hurricane really did kind of devastate. I mean, that's the one that wiped Mexico Beach basically off the map. So while the Cape is beautiful, it is not what it used to be. But that doesn't mean you can't still go support them. I definitely recommend it. It's such a beautiful area, and the people were so nice when we were there. The park and the Cape, unfortunately, did suffer significant damage, and that has changed the face of the area. So there's still places that you can't access, like you can't rent the cabins at the state park anymore, but it doesn't mean that you can't go enjoy the beautiful state park as it is now. It is still a beautiful area to explore, and it does really get you away from the hustle and bustle of the rest of Florida, and you can enjoy one of America's best beaches. The next beach I want to talk about is a little bit further south. In fact, it's way south. It's Tiger Tail Beach on Marco Island. And Marco Island is at the southwest tip of Florida. It's right near the Everglades. And Tiger Tail Beach is actually really cool, but it's also relatively new. This beach was actually created by Hurricane Wilma some 15-ish years ago. And it was created when a sandbar was actually reconnected to the rest of the mainland. And Tiger Tail Beach is beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's kind of an island, but it's not really an island, and I'll explain to you that in a second, because you're like, either it is or it isn't. And there's like lagoons. Now, this beach is on Marco Island, and I consider it probably one of the most beautiful beaches in South Florida because there's so many cool things about it. It's still relatively new, so there hasn't been a lot of stuff done around it or to it since it wasn't a beach before. And it's not as crowded. It is hard to get to it, and I'll explain that to you in a second too. The beach is $8 to enter. They have a lot of parking, and it's cool but not cool at the same time. So there's only one real way. Well, there's two real ways to get to the beach. One is you can either traverse about a 15-minute trek, minute, not mile, trek around through the sand, and you come to this beautiful beach behind some mangroves, and it's just amazing. Or you can walk through a lagoon. Yep, I said it. You can walk through a lagoon. So you look like you're on the Oregon Trail with your beach stuff held up above your head as you traverse this lagoon. And keep in mind it is a lagoon, so if you're not into squishy mud type things, you probably don't want to walk that way. You'll want to go the 10 or 15 minutes around. But the beach is cool because it does have a concession stand. You can rent jet skis, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards, and of course they have other beach necessities in case you've forgotten something. And it is a really, really clean beach. They have the public restrooms, a picnic area, a playground, and they do serve food and even beer and wine at their concession stand, which I think was really cool. I like this beach because there's also guided tours around it, or information on how to take a self-guided tour of the area. So it's kind of something for everybody. Whether you want to lay out and relax in the sun, walk through a lagoon, rent a jet ski, there's kind of something for everybody. And it really allows you to have a full day without having to bring a lot of stuff to enjoy the day. Now, the beach also has a really cool area called Sand Dollar Spit. I don't know why it's spit, but the reason it's called Sand Dollar Spit is because it's a popular place to find sand dollars, and it's a really good place to find some amazing shells. The beach also sits on a stop for the Great Florida Birding Trail. So it's great for bird watchers because you can sit and you can just see many different kinds fly over, especially ospreys. They're known for being huge in that area. So Tiger Tail Beach is really a great place for people to go and enjoy the day, get a beer or a wine at the small concession stands. You can even see the dolphins out in the clear waters. You can go shelling. You can just explore and kind of get away from everything. Because once you turn down that road and you park and you either go through the lagoon or the sand, it really does feel like there's not a lot behind you. It really is kind of away from everything. So that's kind of a cool one. I like to mention that one. The next beach I want to talk about is on the other side of the state, actually, and that is Bathtub Reef Beach in Stuart. And the beach is amazing because of the reef. It's just off the shore, literally just not even miles, just like feet off the shore. And the reef is home to over 500 marine creatures. That includes sea turtles. So definitely want to check that out if you like to see sea turtles. Now, the really cool thing is this reef was actually created by a tiny tube building, I'm not going to get this right, so bear with me, Sabellirid sea worms. It's kind of a sea worm. And they basically burrow through and create this thing out of sand. And it's a really unique reef, but it is super fragile. Definitely not one that needs to be traversed on too much. But you can still go out there. And the beach isn't a large one, but it is so unique, and that's why I wanted to mention it, because it is a really cool one to see. And the reason it is cool is because, so there is the reef right offshore, and it creates a bathtub effect when the waves hit the reef in the summer months. So it's kind of a cool ponding of water, and it's just calm, and it's fun to play in. And, you know, it also has really nice sand because the reef stops the waves from eroding the beach. It just, you know, because it's a natural break for them. So, if you're looking for a unique beach to go to Florida and possibly see a sea turtle, I definitely recommend checking out Bathtub Reef. It's in Stuart. Of course, Jensen Beach is around there, which has nice beaches, and all of Hutchinson Island. But I definitely think that Bathtub Reef Beach is a really cool one just because of what it is. So the next beach I want to tell you about is not just a favorite, but it means something to me, and that's Navarre Beach. I love Navarre Beach, partially because it's beautiful and it's pristine, but also because Navarre Beach is the first place I ever lived in Florida. And Navarre Beach is called Florida's most relaxing place for a good reason. We joke that Navarre is Florida's hidden gem, best kept secret, whatever you want to call it. And it's beautiful. It's pristine. It's got beautiful white sand, calm waves, blue waters, and they just welcome you into the Gulf of Mexico. And I still go all over Florida and compare most beaches to Navarre Beach because there's very few that compare to how beautiful and calm and welcoming and just it's gorgeous. And it kind of gets overlooked because it's right between Pensacola and Fort Walton Beach or Destin. And so to me, like, that's why it is the best kept secret, or, the most relaxing place, because a lot of people would rather go to Pensacola or to Destin, and Navarre just sits there and it's this beautiful gem of a place. Navarre Beach is also home to the Navarre Beach Sea Turtle Conservation Center, which is really cool. They actually opened this the year we moved. We got to see it kind of building. And the center is an education center that is open to public, and it wants to educate people about sea turtles. They were formed in 2013, and they were actually formed out of a grassroots community involvement that really helped found this center. And they were working to protect threatened and endangered sea turtles throughout community education and partnered research. And what's really cool about this place is that they have sweet pea. You're like, okay, Jody, what is sweet pea? Well, in the conservation center, they have a main pool exhibit that's a 15,000-gallon saltwater pool. And Sweet Pea is the sea turtle that lives in the pool. And she's gorgeous. She's a non-releasable green sea turtle and an ambassador in residence for the center. And it's really cool. You get to see Sweet Pea in her habitat, and you get to meet her. And sometimes you don't realize that people have never seen a sea turtle up close. And so Sweet Pea might be the first sea turtle that people ever see or encounter. And that really allows the center to tell people about these animals and the dangers they encounter thanks to both natures and humans. And so Sweet Pea does her job very well by showing, it is sad that she is a non-releasable green sea turtle, but Sweet Pea does a very important job by letting people know, what happened to her and why don't leave trash on the beach. Don't dig holes without filling them back in, and things like that people don't ever know or think about. And Navarre, its home is in Navarre Beach. Navarre Beach is also a popular fishing pier that, it's great to fish, but it's got an even more amazing view of a sunset. I used to love going to the beach for the sunsets. It was something fun we would do at night. We would get off work and we would just let's go see a sunset. And it's really cool to see the sunset in the Panhandle. Not that Naples or Clearwater or Tampa or any of the rest of the bay is not just as pretty. There's just something really cool about it. Definitely from the pier. And Navarre Beach also is right down from the Gulf Island National Seashore. You can actually just drive down the same Gulf Boulevard or 399 to get to it that you do to turn on when you go to Navarre Beach. Now, Navarre has actually grown a lot over the past few years. When we were there wasn't a lot. There was not a lot of hotels. There was not a lot of restaurants, and now it's grown up. Although, if it's still there was an amazing barbecue joint on the Sound right before the bridge to go over to Navarre Beach. Can't remember the name of it. I wish I could. I'll look it up and tell you guys. But you could sit outside on the Sound and enjoy a drink and have some barbecue, and that was one of our favorite places to go. But back to Navarre Beach. Sorry. There are plenty of resorts that either overlook the Santa Rosa Sound or the Gulf of Mexico. So you get amazing views either way. And of course, the restaurants, the shops, and driving down 399 or Gulf Boulevard that takes you right to the Gulf Islands National Seashore is really cool. And if you keep going down 399, it'll actually take you right into Pensacola Beach. And you get to see beautiful sand dunes, and you can stop at these little parking areas they have on the seashore, and you can go to a beach and you may or may not see another human. I loved it. We used to go out there all the time, and sometimes you would see people and sometimes you wouldn't. And of course, it's more crowded during actually, it was more crowded in spring break than it really was summer. But, you'll have your moments. But it was really cool to go out there in September when the season's over with and the beach is still warm and it's still beautiful. And the white powdery sand is just perfect, and there's hardly anybody out there. And feel like you have the whole beach to yourself, because sometimes you do. And the clear water is really cool for looking for shells. You can even go snorkeling out there. Navarre Beach is probably one of the most uncrowded and beautiful beaches in Florida. So I definitely have to recommend it. Now, the last beach I want to talk about is kind of a cool one. It's called Sombrero Beach, and it's in Marathon in the Florida Keys. Now, Sombrero Beach is actually a beautiful beach and park, but the reason I like it is because not only is it beautiful, but it's all accessible, so handicap accessible. You can they have things that you can rent to actually do I think it's a beach wheelchair, but you can actually get them and go down to the beach there. And I think it's really cool. It includes picnic pavilions, volleyball courts, restrooms, and showers. They even have a sidewalk trail that you can walk along enjoying the beach without getting sandy. And you can really make a full day at this beach. They have barbecue pits and things like that. But it's a really pretty beach for being so public and right there. They have beautiful white sand and clear waters, and it doesn't just draw humans, though. No. Sombrero Beach is very popular with another type of Floridian, the sea turtle. This beach is actually a well-known turtle nesting beach. Loggerhead turtles come onto the beach from April through October to lay their eggs at night. That's why they say do not dig a hole. And if you dig a hole, fill it in. Turtles come on the beach, they lay their eggs, and then they get trapped in a hole. That is not okay. And since this beach is in the city of Marathon, the city actually limits beach activity near active turtle nests during these months. And the beach is still open during these months because the turtle nest maybe only take up 10% of the actual beach. And what's really cool, I didn't realize this until I was doing more research on this beach, is that you can actually take a class to be a certified state surveyor. Ooh, I went southern there. You can be a certified state surveyor for turtle nest. I kind of want to do this. You can look it up online. You can go to the Florida Wildlife Fish and Game or Fish and Wildlife, and you can take a test, or not take a test, but take a class in, I think they were offered in February and March, and you can actually be a surveyor to look for turtle nest. I think that is so cool. I kind of want to do that now. Now, Sombrero Beach is open year-round, and since it's on Marathon Island, it's not far from anything you need, and since it is so far down in the Keys, you can literally go year-round. And it'll probably still be pretty warm year-round. Now, the beach is popular during season and on the weekends, but if you're looking for a simple beach in the Keys that allows you to take some time to yourself, then Sombrero Beach is definitely the place for you. Now, Florida beaches are some of the nicest in the country, and sometimes we do take them for granted. I know that I've been on beaches where there's just trash and crap and just nasty everywhere, and this is not okay. We are visitors to this beach. We do not live there. We're taking it away from the things that do live there. We need to leave it nicer than we found it. Keep Florida Beautiful is actually one of the groups that work to keep all of Florida beautiful, and they do have a part that works with the beaches and the oceans. They work to make sure that litters and that's picked up, recycling happens, and that the beaches stay as pristine as possible. You can actually look them up. They have a link if you're in Florida, and you can pick any county in Florida to find a group that you can get in contact with to help keep the Sunshine State beautiful, which I think is really cool. It's definitely a good program to have, and it's good resources if you do want to get involved. They also work with the Ocean Conservatory to keep the beaches and the oceans around Florida clean for humans, but also for the marine life that call it home. Now, Florida really does have some of the best beaches in the world. Florida beaches are always named the top beaches in America, whether it's Clearwater, Sanibel Island, Siesta Key, of course, Cape San Blas, like we talked about. And there are many more that obviously I've mentioned that you can do relaxing, swimming, walking. You can find shells, paddleboard, kayak, canoe, whatever you enjoy doing. And I hope that I've mentioned a few that you've never heard of before, and maybe find a new one that you can visit next time you're in Florida, or if you're in another part of Florida, a new place to go. But please remember to throw your trash in the bins, and if you dig a hole, fill them in before you leave. Don't leave your lights on. Wear your sunscreen. But most of all, the most important thing is you have got to watch out for Florida Man, y'all. You think sharks are bad? Florida Man's worse. And in today's Florida Man episode, it actually comes from Daytona Beach. And this man was determined to teach an alligator a lesson. He was so determined that he was going to try and throw it onto the roof of a cocktail lounge. I still want to know what he was trying to teach the alligator. This man stole the alligator from a mini golf place and then was spotted attempting to throw the gator onto the roof. He was arrested and charged with theft, possession of an alligator, injury to an alligator, and another misdemeanor. I just seriously want to know what he was trying to teach the gator. I mean, I'm pretty sure if the gator had his chance or had been bigger, he probably would never have let that man do that and made that man regret it. But y'all, don't be Florida Man. Look out for them. They're everywhere. I hope you guys have had fun listening this week. It's a shorter episode as I'm not feeling too top-notch. I hope that everybody has a great week. I hope that if you're in the part of the country where it's snowing or about to snow for the millionth time this year and it's only a couple days into the year, I hope you stay safe. If you are in a sunny spot, wear your sunscreen. Always drink plenty of water. Again, stay warm. And as always, guys, that's your daily dose of sunshine.